If you've been telling yourself that you've lost motivation, I want to slow that thought down today. If you're in midlife feeling stuck, burnt out, or unsure what your next step should be, you're in the right place. Here we focus on clarity so you can move forward with confidence on your own pace. Most midlife professionals I work with, what's happening isn't a loss of motivation. It's something much more specific and much more understandable. You might still care deeply about doing something meaningful. You might still want stability, purpose, or contribution, but something inside resists pushing the way you used to. And when that happens, it's very easy to assume you've lost your drive, your ambition, your edge. In this video, I want to offer a different explanation. We'll look at why motivation often disappears in midlife and why that doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. More often, it means something important has changed and your system is responding intelligently. We tend to reach for the word motivation because it's familiar. When energy drops or enthusiasm fades, motivation feels like the obvious explanation, but labeling it that way skips over something very important. Because motivation doesn't disappear randomly, it's usually affected by context, by whether the effort required still makes sense for the life you're now living. When the cost of showing up begins to outweigh the return, motivation doesn't vanish, it goes quiet, not as punishment, but as protection. When work feels heavy or draining, we tend to itemize it. We tell ourselves, I should be more motivated. I shouldn't feel this resistant. Other people can handle this, why can't I? But those questions assume the problem is you. They don't leave room to ask whether the structure, pace, or expectations of your work still fit your reality. And in midlife, that fit often changes. It changes quietly, gradually, without permission. So instead of seeing resistance as a message, we label it as a flaw. Your body and nervous system are incredibly intelligent. When something becomes unsustainable, they don't usually announce it loudly. They create resistance. Burnout reduces your tolerance for tasks that once felt manageable. A capacity mismatch makes effort feel heavier than it used to. Health limitations change how your energy or how much energy you can safely spend. Emotional fatigue lowers your ability to care about things that no longer align. This isn't laziness, it's feedback. Your system is responding to accumulating strain, not a lack of character. Resistance isn't something to muscle through, it's something to listen to. When resistance shows up consistently, it's often saying, the cost of continuing this is way too high. The cost might be physical, it might be emotional, it might be relational or financial, but ignoring resistance doesn't restore motivation, it increases exhaustion. When you treat resistance as information instead of a problem, you start asking better questions. This question is powerful because it restores self-trust. Instead of asking, how do I force myself to care again? You ask, what's changed in my life and why? Midlife often brings clarity about limits, limits around stress, limits around health, limits around how much misalignment you're willing to tolerate. This question does not weaken you. It helps you understand where motivation was being artificially sustained and where it needs to align to return naturally. Loss of motivation in midlife is often wisdom. not weakness. It's your system saying, I can't do it this way any longer. That doesn't mean you're incapable. It means endurance is no longer the right strategy. Motivation doesn't thrive under consistent pressure. It rebuilds when efforts align with capacity, with values, and reality. And that kind of motivation is quieter, but much more sustainable. As clarity increases, motivation often follows naturally. Not the frantic, forced kind, but the steady kind that comes from understanding what fits now. When you stop fighting yourself and start listening, energy returns. Not all at once, but it returns consistently. If this gives you a bit more clarity, take a moment to pause with it. You don't need to decide anything today. You don't need to rush. Clarity comes first. If you want support navigating this process with compassion and structure, you're welcome to subscribe and explore the resources below when you're ready. Have a great day.